and that's Clayton Saunders and Life Hurts Without Her, a really lovely country song. And Clayton Saunders, it's lovely for you to join us tonight. Your history in country music goes back a long way.
It certainly does. Firstly, thank you for having me on the show. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm an old hand at this. I've been in music going on 50 years now, and I started off on Channel O, which was Channel 10 back then. It's Channel 10 now, but it was Channel O back then on the Fred Bear's Breakfast to Go-Go. And from that, I was very pleased and honored to have been offered a job with the great Johnny Chester. I worked with him for about 5 or 6 years in country music, and that was an amazing experience for me. I learned a lot from the man. We had our own TV show on Channel 2 called Intercountry, and we were the only country music act who had a number 5 in the top 10 country song to be invited on Countdown, would you believe?
Wow. I was a massive fan of Johnny Chester. I had one of those best of albums. You know, it had Gwen and Glory, Glory, Ready Mixed Revenge, Shame and Scandal. There was a whole bunch of hits in there. We probably bring back a lot of memories for our listeners of how big Johnny Chester really was and Hotspur in the 70s and 80s.
I'm very, very happy to say that Hotspur was built around myself, and the song that we had that was a big hit was called I Love You So Rebecca, which had a lot of airplay in the day. And after that, I was invited to join a very well-known Victorian country show band called Stony Creek, and it was through them that one of my songs called Angel Eyes was nominated at Tamworth for the best song of the year that year. But we lost to a very controversial song called Only 19. You remember that?
Oh,
Yeah, Red
yes,
Gum.
very much.
But, you know, the nomination was a real privilege, you know.
What do you think personally are the maybe 3 of the biggest changes over the past 50 years within the music industry?
The biggest thing was for me was the live shows. I remember back in the 70s and 80s, country music was really big. And every Sunday in the summertime, there'd be a major festival on somewhere where we'd be performing, and you could sell. Back then it was the 45s, and later on it was the cassettes. But the amount of people that would come to those shows back then was incredible. And I remember when I was at Stony Creek, we performed at the Wandong Country Music Festival, which was a national festival. It was huge at the time, and we actually won that competition. And then later on, I was invited to join the Blue Echoes, but it was the second lot of the Echoes called the New Echoes, and I was with them for about 5 or 6 years as well. And in those days, the shows we played to were the big shows like AMP, BHP, and all those places where you get between 800 and 1,000 people coming to the shows. A lot more relaxed, I think.
We fast forward now to you songwriting that we're hearing your music. Have you always been songwriting all of this time, or was it a break for you?
Yes, I've been songwriting all the way since India, because I was born in India, in Calcutta, actually, and I first started songwriting there. But I wasn't really taking it all that seriously. I just wanted to be a songwriter and write some songs. But it was only in the last probably 10 years that I've knuckled down and taken it really seriously.
So, Clayton, if you had a vision of someone that would be suited, apart from yourself, to sing one of your songs, who would you like to have recording some of your music?
To be quite honest and truthful, is that when I've been writing these songs, I've been aiming mainly at the country music market in Nashville in the States. So probably Tracy Atkins. There's a song that I have, which you'll hear on my album when I put it out later, called Slow Burn, which I think Lady Antebellum, it's in their wheelhouse. I would love them to do that. You know, people of that ilk. I'm not sure that my songs would suit any of the Australian artists, though I'd love them to record it.
What invites me into your music is the stories behind them as well. And the one that we're going to go out with tonight is The Marriage Box, and the way that you've actually gone through and studied and asked the questions from all these different people about what is your secret to your marriage. Tell us a little bit about why you went and did that study.
While my career was going really quite well, my personal life was a shambles, and no matter how hard I tried, I never seemed to have got it right. But when I worked in aged care for 17 years, and I saw all these incredible couples ranging from being married 20, 30, 40, 50 years and so on, I wanted to find out what was the ingredient. Was there a blueprint, or was there some formula that they were able to stay together for so long despite the ups and downs? I did a pretty lengthy survey on different people, and out of each of their comments and their suggestions and their experiences, I wrote The Marriage Box, believing that if you're brought up to understand that love is about what you put in, is not about what you take out of it. Giving and taking and forgiving and understanding. And to me, that's what they seem to say is the ingredient. I put that together in a song, and I'm hoping that somewhere out there when people get to hear it, they might just take that on board and might help them in their own personal relationships.
We've played a little bit of that Life Hurts Without Her. We're going to play some of the Marriage Box now. It is all available on various digital platforms, but you could always find out what's happening by going to ClaytonSaundersMusic.com. Clayton, thank you very much for joining us tonight. As I said earlier, we could talk hours, I reckon.
Thank you to both of you guys.
The more you put in,